Who doesn't love tomatoes
Right?
in the summer season, right?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks of squashes, summer squashes, beans, and tomatoes pretty much. Corn too, I guess, but everyone loves tomatoes.
Yeah, it's like
The number
thing.
one,
It
right?
really is.
You talk to anybody who grows anything, they're probably growing tomatoes at least on their porch, in a pot, or any number of ways, because it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's fun and
Tomatoes are
easy.
delicious.
It's so delicious.
And easy to do. Today I want to show you guys a few easy steps to take care of your tomato plants and get an abundant harvest of awesome tomatoes. One of the first things you're going to want to think about actually when you're getting your tomatoes in order to grow them is actually what variety to get. Now, if you're going to be planting them in the ground like I am, and you're going to be trellising them and you're going to be doing all kinds of stuff, then you can actually get indeterminate varieties. Indeterminates are simple. They just continue to grow, continue to produce all season long. Now, if you have more of a small space and you're going to be growing them in pots or grow bags or something like that, you might want to go with something that is determinate variety, which means pretty much grows up to a certain set height and produces all at once, and you can collect and replace. Tons of varieties on both sides, and you can choose based on your zone, your area, and your growing conditions. In order to know that, you can look online, do some research, or you can go to a farmer's market and you can ask what is best in your area. Now, after you've picked your tomatoes, of course, you're gonna wanna think about how you're going to trellis them. Bunch of different ways to do this, tons of different ways. Not necessarily any wrong or right way. You're gonna get what you can get, what you can afford, what's in your budget. Probably the most common one is this right here. These are probably,
Tomato cake.
yes, this is probably the most common trellis you're gonna see pretty much everywhere. Walmart, hardware store, your farm stores, and things like that. These are great for determinate varieties. The only issue you need to think about when you're getting ones like these that are kind of squished at the end is gonna be the fact that it's gonna impact your root system, and it will have issues, especially if you have to take it out, you have to change it, you have to put it in, whatever. You could damage your roots. I don't really like these, but if that's all you have, these will do the trick. Next, if you're gonna be planting them in the ground, this right here is my absolute favorite way to trellis. This is the Florida weave method. It's very inexpensive and very durable. And the bonus is you can leave a ton of growth on your plants, so you don't really have to prune as much because they can carry the weight of extra leaves if you decide to leave suckers on, and you can let your plants bush out where normally you'd have to really thin your plants out, especially if you're gonna do something like lowering the lean or something like that. You're gonna need to thin your plants out quite a bit, at least to a single liter. So it's just extra work. And if you want something this simple that you don't have to monkey with too much, this is a great way to do it. These fence posts are dirt cheap, about $7 a piece. Will last you forever, and a piece of twine. I'm using just some cotton thread from the store, kitchen twine, basic stuff. Easy, durable, lasts, and is biodegradable, which is awesome.
And it actually looks really cool. The plants, like, doesn't it look beautiful? Just the way it's trellised, it just looks really
It does end up looking really pretty. You get a cool little fence line and everything of your growth.
It's like environmentally friendly, right?
Mm-hmm. Environmentally friendly. And next is just gonna be your general care of your tomato plants, and which means diseases, pests, watering, etc. Now, tomato plants really want a good deep watering. They do not want to be swimming, because you'll get root rot and all kinds of problems. You'll also get things like blossom end rot on your tomatoes. If you don't water enough or water kind of here and there, you might get something called zipper, which is your tomatoes actually grow and they grow too fast and they boom, split.
Yeah.
You might have seen a lot of those in the store. It has happened. Doesn't change the flavor, it just makes them kind of ugly. You know what I mean?
I think it's cool. I think it makes them look like heirloom.
Heirloom varieties?
Yeah.
Like the ugly ripe or whatever?
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to be looking at diseases, of course, you can think about general pruning because you are going to want airflow. You're also going to water from the bottom. You want to try not to get your watering all over your leaves because that's going to be your biggest issue is disease from the soil. So you want to use a good compost, a good mulch, and you want to water the bottom, and you want to prune from the bottom up and leave you about a foot clear on the bottom of your plant. That way you're less likely to have diseases splash up from the soil level. And you want to try to keep your leaves dry, because, especially in our area, because if it rains a lot or you have high humidity, what do we have? What do we have last year? Freaking powdery mildew. Now, as your plants age and they get old, at some point you're just going to lose that battle, in which case it's better to have another replacement ready to roll into the ground, and then cut these down and put them in the compost for better use in your compost. Now, pests. Biggest one we had last year was going to be tomato hornworm. These are these giant freaking caterpillars, huge green, that are super hard to find.
They're the exact color of the tomato stem and leaf, and they hang out underneath, and you can't see them unless like you look super close, because they literally look like the tomato stem.
They're perfectly camouflaged. And if you're not careful, they will decimate. In one night, they can eat entire leaf sections or entire sections of your plant.
Last year, like an entire section just being like gone. Like all that was left was like the leaves at the end. In the morning, I was like, wow. I couldn't believe how much they eat.
Exactly.
They will just decimate the entire plant.
Right. Now, you might have earwig issues, you might have slug issues, you might have aphid issues, which is another one we have a lot of here. For general pests, we don't use anything toxic, we don't use anything damaged. If you want to, you can get like a 7 dust or something like that. Otherwise, if you're trying to be a little bit more clean, a little bit more environmentally friendly, you can use stuff like she has, which is neem oil. Just make sure that when you use your neem oil, use it first thing in the morning or use it late at night. You don't want to use it right before it gets really, really hot.
Oh.
Because it can burn your leaves.
It would have been the heat. It would have been the heat, I mean.
Right, because if the sun comes out, it gets too hot before the neem oil has a chance to be absorbed and dry, you're going to get burning. So just be very careful. When you can help it, don't use anything at all. I would suggest for things like tomato hornworm, you can use BT, which is just a bacteria that will make basically your caterpillars think that they're full and they won't eat, and then they'll just die. The other thing you can do is what we did, which is interplant some sweet alyssum or something like that. Sweet alyssum attracts predatory wasps that actually lay eggs in the worm, and when the worms hatch, they eat the worm from the inside out.
Yep.
Yeah, they're actually really ugly looking. They're the big worms, and they have these little eggs on their back.
That's gross.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, we also have marigolds here to help with the issue as well. So
we interplanted marigolds at the bottom all through the plants, and that helps with actual predatory nematodes that will damage your root system.
Everything has been fantastic until just now. I'm noticing a little bit of leaf curl here, and I looked underneath, and sure enough, there's some aphids under there. So I don't know. What do you want to do about that? So
aphids are pretty simple. Now, you can utilize neem oil, right? But the best thing for aphids, to be honest, is going to be observation. If you see them, you take a hose and you just rinse them off. By the time they get up to your plant again, they're going to die. It's a soft-body insect, and just wash them off. Yes, just wash them off. Don't worry about it too much. If you miss them, they can be very damaging, so just kind of check on things and see if you do, like she was saying, if you have leaf curl, that is or hard leaf curl, that's a good chance you might have some aphids underneath the leaves, because they actually suck all of the juices out of your leaves and ends up killing the leaves. So just grab a hose, rinse them off. If the damage is particularly bad and you have a ton of them, you can just prune off that leaf system.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I end up doing a lot of times.
Right. Tomatoes can be a complete nightmare, or they can be mega easy. It really depends. You want to make sure you have the right varieties picked. You want to make sure you have the right amount of light and good airflow within your tomatoes, right? If you're going to plant them like we did in the ground, make sure you have proper spacing and you do prune them. Make sure they have plenty of airflow. Utilize your neem oils, utilize your plants, your interplanting. You generally don't need to feed them. I like to plant them in some good compost anyway, but tomatoes really don't really like to be fed. So if I'm going to feed them, if I see any issues, I'm going to feed them initially when I plant them and as they're growing. So if I want to make sure there's plenty of nitrogen, I'll do that then. And then immediately when they start fruiting, I'll start feeding them something with phosphorus or something like that in it. At that point, it's good. After that, don't worry about it. And just make sure you have regular watering, about an inch a week or so. Typically, you want to do a deep watering once a week. In our case, we don't have to worry about too much because it does rain quite a bit, and we're surrounded by hard packed clay that holds that moisture, which is awesome. That's actually working in my favor this year, and it is wonderful.
Saves a lot on water.
And we have tons of flowers, tons of fruit, and everything looks absolutely fantastic. Knock on wood,
Yes.
cross your fingers, throw some salt, pray,
Yes.
and all of the above.
Everything.
Right? Anyway, guys, that is it. That is just a few steps we like to take care of our tomato plants, and we wanted to share them with you so you have successful harvest of tomatoes in the summertime.
Yes.
So if you found anything here interesting, or you have anything you'd like to share, comment below, let us know, take a look. Please subscribe, hit that thumbs up button. If you want to help us out, make more of these projects, shoot us a super thanks. And yeah. Anyway, guys.
Tomatoes. I don't know.
Tomatoes.
I didn't know what to say.
Anyway, guys.
And I said I'd see it.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Anyway, guys, as always, stay strong,
Stay black.
stay freaking savage.
Blue guns. Big guns.
Peace and love.
Love you guys.
God bless.
God bless.
Cool. That's one. All right, that'll be good, right?
Because everyone wants more tomatoes.
Everybody wants more tomatoes.
All
right, now that's good. It's got to be earlier though.
Yeah.
All right, let's try that one more time. That's good.
All right.
Let's try that again. What?
Oh.
What? Oh, don't fall in the squashes.
Okay.
Don't fall. Squish the squashes. Ready?
Okay.